What's up, y'all? Black t-shirt again, but I just came home from a very nice date night with my lady. So today I think I really wanted to talk about the way your mind will test you. So let's kind of start with this, right? Anxiety and fear is typically about things that have not occurred yet. The reason I started off with this is because it's very important for you to kind of know the parameters and to really just understand like how the mind works and how those specific negative emotions or feelings often arise and what they're essentially responding to, which is something that hasn't happened yet, that you may presume is going to be the very worst of things or horrible situation, and you're just anxious about what it is. In a lot of situations, when you finally go through the thing that you're so anxious about, it's usually never a big deal. But just to kind of stick to the task, right? Because I'm literally losing my thought process as I speak. Okay. So it kind of goes like this. You have this desired goal or a desired outcome. But what is required of you to accomplish it is something you've never done before. You have never put yourself in a position to do those things. And typically when the thought process of these are the things that I need to do to succeed, you kind of look at it and say, I don't see myself doing that, or that's not something that I would do, or whatever the case may be, right? So let's say you get past that. You get past that process of these like fake borders that your mind kind of creates. Once you get past that and you reach that realm of, okay, I'm doing these new things, but there's still elements that I just don't really feel comfortable doing. This will probably be too much work. I probably won't be able to understand this. There's a lot of probablys. There's going to be so many different things that you're going to see as a reason why you're not able to do something. And, this is really just your mind trying to be an overprotective mom. This is your mind trying to shield you away from heartache, pain, and disappointment in the event that you possibly can't actually accomplish these things. So yesterday I was hella fucking tired. And eventually I was like, you know what, let me just at least like get to this workout. So in the process of my working out today, because last night I was hella tired, woke up still hella tired, I had to go straight to work. So I'm working out and I noticed that all of my apprehensions of this task, of this objective that I had for the day of like, all right, I really don't even feel like recording a video. I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like uploading a beat. I don't really feel like doing anything. I feel like finishing my shift and then just simply going about my day. When I started to do the push-ups, all of that disappeared because suddenly I had enough energy to do everything I needed to do. And it just really struck me. Not only did I have enough energy, it didn't take as long as I thought it would. Like I thought it was just like, oh, this is gonna take so much time. I won't even have enough time in between me getting off of work and me going out with my lady. Like I'm not gonna have enough time. I don't even have enough energy. I had enough time and energy. I had enough time and energy. And I didn't realize I had enough energy until I was like, you know what, even though I feel the way I feel, let me just do this fucking thing. And this is what I mean about how like the external work is so fucking important. Because here I am in my mind, even at this stage where, you know, I've done everything I can to break away from old behaviors, break away from old mindsets. There's still going to be parts of your mind that is going to consistently try to shield you from these situations. It's going to consistently try to hold you back from doing certain things because the old you was not like that. And your mind completely understands the type of responses the old you would have gotten. And a lot of those times, it's really safe situations where you're not putting yourself out there, you're not straining yourself, you're not putting yourself in a position of failure. All these different things, it's like literally your subconscious is like an overprotective mom as well as a secretary. So going through that like very small, minuscule experience really showed me that it's so important for you to simply show up, because showing up helps get rid of so many things that are in between you and the thing that you would like to become or do or accomplish or achieve or get to. It's just simply showing up, because once you show up, all the other stuff falls at wayside. You know, when you're afraid, and this is such an interesting thing, because I told my girlfriend this like a couple of months ago. We were talking about the topic of fear, which I brought up earlier in the video. And like I said, you know, fear is this dreaded emotion of something that hasn't occurred yet. So you're essentially just fearing what may or may not be the inevitable. You're fearing what may or may not happen. It's just a lot of, it's really just a fear of the future. Like there's no like, you're not even, you know, you're not afraid of something that's a guarantee. You're afraid of a maybe. Because if you know this is going to happen and you don't want it to happen, you might be afraid of it, but you're going to operate in a sense of, I'm going to avoid this and I'm going to do this to make sure that situation is better. But when you're afraid, you know, you're looking at this vague notion of something. But fear is so fucking important for your growth, because courage only exists in the presence of fear. Bravery only exists in the presence of fear. Only. You are not courageous or brave if you are not doing something you're not also afraid of. I'm going to say it again. Courage and bravery only exist in the presence of fear. Only. You're not being brave or courageous if you're doing something you feel no fear about. It's nothing to you. It's not even a big deal. So it's not even really an accomplishment. You know, I really love this book I need to kind of get back to. It's called Preparedness. And in the very beginning of the book, it talks about the fight or flight response. And the author kind of talks about there's like a third response, which is to freeze. But long story short, he's really just trying to emphasize that in order for you to be able to handle these incredibly high stressful situations where you're not freezing, you need to expose yourself to these kind of situations or doses of them, so that way when the real mega shit happens, you have some sort of tolerance and you're able to handle that under duress. Now I bring that up just because I really like to tie things together, and the way my mind tends to work, I see a lot of connectivity in so many different areas that sometimes when I'm talking to someone, it can feel like I'm ranting, but there's so many things that tie it. So me bringing up the book and how it connects to fear, anxiety, and courage and bravery. If you keep putting yourself through certain situations, like the situations you're afraid of, and you keep summoning the fear and the bravery to overcome these situations, eventually it's going to become human nature. Not human nature, but just a regular event. Eventually it's not even going to be a thing. So a great example of this is like public speaking. Now, in my life, I've never really been afraid to like speak in front of a group of people. I've never really had that issue. But in the event that I did have that issue, I would have essentially had to handle it like this. The very first time I would go and give a speech, I'd be fucking terrified. But because I felt like I needed to do it, that would have really done something for me that day, where I'd be like, damn, it wasn't that bad. And then I would do it again because I know it wasn't that bad. So now it's just like, I'm getting a hang of this. By the third or fourth time, there isn't really any type of anything there. It's just like, oh, speech? Yeah, I'll do it. And this is something I experience all the time, at work. Ever so often, there's like a situation where somebody needs to speak up and nobody does. Which is a really interesting thing I've noticed about human behavior, where a group of people can truly hate a situation or be displeased by it, but only like less than a handful of people would actually say something. And then once they do, that's when everybody else is like, yeah, what he said, what they said, what she said, we're not fucking with that. Yeah, like they said it perfectly. You know what I mean? I've always kind of thought that was very interesting, being on the side of like, I'm gonna say something if I feel something or if I think something, regardless of if this is a proper setting or not. Don't be that person that like you have a feeling or an emotion, but you're afraid to speak. Or worse is that you expect somebody else to say something, which is why you don't say something. Let me tell you something. That is quite literally the dumbest shit ever. I hate it and I cannot stand it. That is not a good trait. That's not a helpful trait for you to have. Because if you are like that, other people are gonna speak for you. Other people are gonna make decisions for you. Until you are pushed and backed into a corner or a situation where you're crashing out and they have no idea why you're behaving this way. Because you never said something. You never laid your boundaries. You never stood your ground. Come on. Don't even expect other people to speak up for themselves. There was one situation where I genuinely thought somebody was going to say something because I just wasn't able to be there. And I came to find out that no one did. And it shocked me. But then I realized it's just a matter of like, these people had a certain level of fear or a certain level of anxiety that prevented them from really expressing themselves. Because the thing that, we were essentially opposing against, it was vital. But nobody said anything. And everybody who would have said something was inconspicuously not able to come, crazy enough. But this is where, the lesson kind of ties back into you. Anxiety and fear. Limitations that your mind puts on you. The feelings of, I don't know if I can really do this. The feelings of, there's no way I can do this. I'm not even sure if I'm the type of person who could do this. All of those feelings, these emotions, right? These emotions are not concrete. Because the moment you get on the other side of it and you actually do the thing that you're afraid to do, you start to really see that shit just fly away, flutter, or even more amazing, it turns into something else. It turns into something else. Fight or flight is a very, very interesting human response because in the face of really, really great danger, there is going to be something in you that is going to trigger your need to defend yourself or defend your loved one. right, in that state. So let's say you essentially select flight. There's also something called hysterical strength, where your body is now producing these hormones that, regardless of your stature, you are like fucking 5-10 times stronger than you normally would be. You're 5-10 times stronger than most people. Like they've done studies of this where like moms have lifted up cars to save their child. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, I think Eddie Hall had shared his experience where he was supposed to lift up like, I want to say 600 or 700 pounds, bro. It was something absurd. I almost want to say like 800 pounds. About like 800 pounds. And a doctor sat him down and told him like, look, the human body is not capable of lifting that amount of weight. And just kind of really broke it down to him like real plainly, simply, scientifically. Like, I understand that you're really strong and you've really accomplished so many crazy ass feats. Motorcycle game. You've accomplished so many crazy ass feats, but like, and I hear you that you're gonna do this, but you're not gonna be able to do that for real. Like, you're gonna probably end up hurting yourself. So he said that what he did was not only weight train, obviously, but he would visualize that his daughter's life was on the line, and that if he did not lift the weight, his child, I don't know if it was a daughter, his child would die. He was just constantly visualizing that situation over and over again when he would train. Like, if he didn't lift this shit up, his daughter was gonna die, his child was gonna die. Somebody super important was gonna die. Like, it was super vital for him to be able to lift this weight so he could save somebody. And lo and fucking behold, when the day came, I think you can even find the clip. Like, he lifted that bitch clean off the ground, nose bleeding from the literal effort and pressure of what he did, but he did that shit. He did that shit because he understood how the mind works, and how like truly like the mind is a limitless thing. And the moment you start to really understand how it works, you're able to use it as a tool for your gain, as opposed to it being like a tormentor. You know, and that's an experience I personally had with both. I've had experiences where my greatest enemy was my mind, because it was just tormenting me with all the things that I failed to do and all the things that I found myself doing that I thought were just a lower version of myself. Your mind is really like, it's like this neutral thing where it can be the greatest asset you have, or you're essentially just living in a prison. And the prison is you, and you can't get out. So you gotta live with it. I think if there was one feeling that was like crystal clear, that really made it feel like I was living in a prison in my mind, it'd be shame. The density of it, the feeling of like, why am I not this? Or the feeling of like, why don't I get this? Why is my reality not this? You know, that was really like the bare bones of it. It was really just a sense of shame of my actions not aligning with my beliefs. And then, you know, not only were my actions not aligning with my beliefs, it was essentially just like the opposite of my beliefs. And then that's how you make your own personal hell. But what you really need to do is understand that your mind is a tool. And in reality, like, you can really program it to be your best friend. You can program it to have higher ceilings. Meaning, like, whatever capacity you think you're at, think you're at a different capacity and see the shit that you're able to do. It's nuts. It's crazy. The moment you start to break barriers and change boundaries within your mind is nuts. When you see yourself different, you experience things differently, You handle situations differently. Honestly, like it's a crazy thing when you allow your mind to develop to become an asset at the very least. You know, at its best, you can make your mind your best friend. Bro, there's nothing you can't do for real. Like, nothing. Because in reality, like, there really is nothing in your way. Every single day you have nothing in your way. Whatever type of obstacles that you see, right? So let's say you come from an impoverished neighborhood. You have trauma, you have this, you have that. Yeah, sure, it's there. It's absolutely there. But the freedom that your mind will give you would be based on how do you handle those situations. You understand? Like, freedom is not even necessarily an absence of situations or problems. Freedom is more so in how you handle things. How do you handle situations and how do you see shit? Like, for example, like, I used to have this idea of a cartoon. It was called Homeless Mike. And the premise was like, it would be this homeless guy who has a totally different perspective of the world, right? And his perspective essentially is this. You look at him and see that he's homeless, but he doesn't understand how that's possible when the whole world is his home. Perspective fucking changes everything. So, because the internal work to do that is really fucking hard, it's better for you to start to do things externally that will help support that system. And by doing things externally, you would start to realize, like, oh, this ain't really nothing. I could do more. Oh, that's all it is? Shit, well, why didn't I do this a lot sooner? Like, it's not even all of that. The moment you're able to put yourself physically in those experiences where you have those kind of responses, crazy. It's like I was gonna say 360, but you're literally going back into the same spot. That's a 180 shift. So I had like a mini 180 shift today. Kind of understanding that, you know what? I can do way more than I realize. I just gotta push myself. And even in me pushing myself, like, it's not gonna take as long as I thought. These situations aren't. It's an amazing thing to experience that kind of shift. And even as I'm shooting these videos, you know, I know that there's a part of me that's like shifting as well. And God, I just really hope that the stuff that I make helps somebody. That's my greatest goal, is to help somebody. With these videos, at least. Yeah, of course I want to put myself out there. I also want to hold myself accountable. I also want to like have almost like a digital record of me changing. And you know, if I have children, you know, God willing, my children can watch this and see like a real human version of their pops. You know, I think that's really important. Like, people don't realize that their parents are still, regardless of the age, still trying to figure shit out. But it's totally off topic. But I just want to say, like, if you're watching this, thank you so much for getting this far and hearing me rant. Just know that everything I say is with the most positive intention, because I really just want you, as well as myself, to just kind of get over this invisible fuckery that our minds have created, either due to trauma, either due to rejection, either due to past experiences or somebody else's opinion. Like, if you had memory loss, this would be a really good topic to cover too. If you had like memory loss, you woke up, you had no memory of yourself, you think you'd behave the same? You think you'd have the same beliefs? You think you'd act the same? You think you'd like the same shit? You wouldn't. You really, really wouldn't. Some people, when they go through that experience, they find themselves liking similar things that they liked, but other things they have no idea why they liked it in the first place. The mind is nuts. But I'm gonna stop here. It's at like 25 minutes. Man, obstacles are optical illusions for real. Them shits is not there. Sending you much love, man. Wherever you are. I hope you got more from this video than you've ever gotten from any other video. Wherever you are, I love you.